Welcome to Mastering the Art of Success. I'm your host, Debbie DiMaggio, and I could not be more excited today to introduce you to S. Robert August. Robert, welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be with you after a number of years of following your outstanding career and now having the opportunity to participate with you, Debbie, in your outstanding, excellent, marvelous podcast.
You're incredible. I don't know how we met. Do you know? I don't know how I got your email, how I put you on my newsletter. Do you recall?
I believe it was through LinkedIn, and
Oh,
I became a devotee, if you will, uh, of LinkedIn and have thousands and thousands of followers and uh, read about a number of different people on a daily basis. And your extraordinary reputation and background preceded our meeting, and we began communicating with one another. And then you were kind enough to introduce me to your other family members of your wonderful real estate brokerage company. So it's a delight to be with you this morning uh, here in Denver, Colorado, while you're enjoying the beautiful state of California and the wonderful metropolitan area of San Francisco.
that's right. Well, I'm so glad you reminded me from LinkedIn. I say in my book, you look for the extraordinary in the ordinary, and that's where the magic lies. And this is definitely a magical moment because I know every time I send a newsletter out, you are the first to respond, always with kind words, and you have no idea what that means to me. It means a lot, and I just really appreciate you. So, S.
And
August is a globally respected builder, developer, brokerage owner, and keynote speaker with more than 5 decades of impact in real estate. Through North Star Synergies, he has helped generate over 60 billion in sales while advising builders, developers, and industry leaders worldwide. A two-time recipient of the National Sales and Marketing Council's highest honor, the Bill Molster Award, Robert is also a Hall of Famer, global ambassador, and one of the most influential educators in the industry, having taught more than 2,500 sessions and authored over 1,000 articles. Today, he continues to inspire professionals across the globe through leadership, strategy, and a relentless commitment to excellence. Robert, your career spanned over 5 decades. What has been the defining mindset that fueled your success?
uh, Debbie, I was very fortunate to grow up in a family business that spanned the globe. And I was the fourth generation. My dad was third generation, and my dad was my mentor. And he had learned from his grandfather and his uncle in the family business that uh, the business development opportunity literally is creating the best buying experience with regard to product development, product delivery, and customer service. If you take care of those three pillars, you're going to be extremely successful. And not withstanding, but it really mirrors Mindset in Motion, an outstanding book that you just authored. And I've just been digging into this book, and it
Oh,
seems as if you and I came from the same parents and grandparents. And so, in essence, the experience is what it's all about. And I'll share with you, uh, many of the listeners know about a retail store. And the
mhm.
gentleman was the second hire of the retail store development organization. After the COO, a gentleman was hired for this corporation to embody all of the marketing, IT, and sales, and grew the company to over 500 stores worldwide. And Debbie, it was as if Jason August read Mastering the Art of Success,
Wow.
developing, founding Build-A-Bear Workshop. So
Right.
in essence, whether we're selling a piece of real estate or we're enjoying a retail sale or any sale of any product and service, it's all about creating the best possible experience by developing and delivering the best product and also delivering the best customer service sale process that you possibly can enjoy.
That's incredible. That's right, I forgot about it. It was your father who started Build-A-Bear?
No, no, it's my oldest son,
Your
Jason.
oldest son. Oh, your oldest son. Okay. Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Everyone, I haven't seen it in a while because my kids are now grown, but everyone has a Build-A-Bear. That is incredible. And what did your father do?
My father was third generation of an international manufacturing, distribution, wholesale, import export wine and spirits corporation. Had plants on both coasts. One, of course, in Philadelphia, where we're from in this country, and another one in Southern California as well, and imported, exported. And I learned the business at the feet of my father, who was a tremendous mentor. And then I had the great fortune, Debbie, of marrying my best friend, Penny. And
Wow.
it'll be 54 years this November that we'll be married. And her dad is lives on through me, as does my father, both of whom passed. And my father-in-law had was chairman of the board also and president of 16 fabrication glass plants throughout the United States. And these gentlemen were all about doing what's right, taking care of their employees first, making sure that their employees uh, learned the business, learned and understood how to grow and scale the business accordingly. And the corporations were very, very, very successful maintaining ethics, mores, norms, and values for the employees, for the customers, and for the universe at large.
Wow. Well, it speaks volumes of your so my father too was the one who inspired me. I always said when I was growing up, the only thing I did not want to do was real estate, and that's what my father did. And now today, 35 years later, still in real estate. Wouldn't have it any other way. Love meeting people, love connecting, love helping people. And you're right. Customer service is so important, whatever that is, or client service, or we just finished a deal with a client and just that people are very stressed when they're going through the process and it's really about listening. um, how do you how do so you're well, just want to commend your legacy and your father-in-law and your father and all that they've done and yourself and your son. It's incredible testament. And I do think a lot of times it does come, it's so nice to have that. It's nice to have the foundation. Not everyone has that foundation that we had and that we're lucky to have. What are some things, so you're doing all these great things to help the employees and really make them happy. What are some things we can do? Sometimes an employee or employees aren't having a good day or they need a little help or you might see them going south. What are some ways to bolster morale and get people back engaged?
That's a very, very good question. Uh, I would share with you throughout my development and career, what was always very important is to realize that regardless of whether you have a small company or a large company, you're all working as a team. And we think of sports, excuse me, and we all learn a lot from working on teams uh, from in the age of 6 to the age of 60 and beyond. And I think
Right.
that the ability to recognize that everyone had a leaky pin, and
Oh,
it's a my shirt, excuse me, and everyone that the everyone that you meet has a chapter of special points of interest to share. And as a result, uh, I was always taught that everybody needs to be taken care of. If you're a manager. On the other hand, if you're not a manager, you need to get along with everyone. and you need to learn how to socialize. And we have spent an inordinate amount of time throughout the years uh, educating our employees and sharing with them again so many of the points that you share in your outstanding book, Mindset in Motion. And what's fascinating is the ability. I'll share it with you very simply. You and
Sure.
I grew up initially where everybody said the three most important ingredients in real estate are location, location, location. And I've defied that. To me, the three most important ingredients are contact, contact, contact.
Mm.
Michelangelo really said it best through his artwork in the Sistine Chapel. And the point of people getting together and being able to communicate with one another and learning how to socialize and learning how to compromise with regard to human nature is extremely important. And so what we've been able to do is to learn how to respect everyone and build trust and build rapport. And I prepared a course uh, last year for the National Association of Home Builders, a virtual course, and the three pillars basically are respect, trust, and rapport from a
Mm.
sales point of view. So these are inbred in me, and as a result, um, we continue to enhance the performance of the sales teams that we represent, those that we consult for and with, and help everyone grow their business through these three pillars.
I love it. Well, you've I don't know if you've gotten there yet, but I talk about the 5 Cs, whether it's in business, real estate, whatever it is you do, but how important community and consistency and collaboration, and communication couldn't be more elevated, but collaboration, communication, um, consistency, all kind of align with what you're talking about. And it's so true. And location, 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 but you said the contact and its community is so important, personally and professionally. I've been helping a 90-year-old woman, and to get into her new retirement community, and I just want her to find that community because otherwise she's alone in her house. And so I really always want to encourage people to find that community at every age because we're always reinventing ourselves. So okay, let's talk about you. We've spoken about your family and how great everyone is, and a little bit about what you've done, but you've generated over 60 billion in sales. What consistent disciplines make that possible? And tell us before you go there, tell us about the home building, where you built, and what did that paint a picture of what that was like when you were right in the mix of it all.
Well, I'll use some examples for you and help you uh, integrate the five C's into what I'm going to share. Uh,
Okay.
Interestingly enough, when I transitioned into real estate, and I only did transition into real estate as a direct result that I was voted out of the company as to be the heir apparent that my father had groomed me to be. There were other family members who thought that I was too young to take on an executive role in sales and marketing. I had worked in the company for 2 years after undergraduate school, and our company was being unionized, and which was not a problem. My father uh, was very supportive of the labor union, very supportive of the interest of the employees to be unionized. And I'm the only person in my generation that actually went to an undergraduate school that had a program in labor management relations. And at the time, there were only two in the United States. And I matriculated to Pennsylvania State University. And unlike my peers, I never left that curriculum. And as a result, uh, I can tell you, I mean, pointedly, I understand uh, negotiation, collective bargaining, and it further enhanced my position when I went into the real estate business in a for sale environment, because what I learned to do is make everyone who is participating in any and every transaction a winner.
Mm,
And
I
when
love
everybody can feel that they're that they gained something through a transaction, they become your best referral resource, the best lead generators for you. So, in essence, and hopefully I'm answering your question.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I went back to graduate school after working in the family business for 2 years, working with a multinational real estate construction, home building development company, and again, mastered the art of management, but on an international basis. And again, transcending into the real estate arena, it's paid dividends. And the reflection I use when I'm working every day, I use my academic and pragmatic education. And when you talk about sense of community, what I learned in the first community that I did from a sales and marketing standpoint, it took place in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And this was 50 years ago, Debbie. After all the work that I had done previously, I was recruited by a builder developer in the Philadelphia market and went to work for the team. And almost to the day that we opened up our models, we had had very few sales. We were not the hometown guys, and Allentown was very, very parochial, along with Bethlehem and Easton, which were next to Allentown. And what I realized is, in order to break down the barriers, I had to get involved. And I
Mm.
started, uh, oh, and to the day that we opened our model homes, by the way, the largest employer in the trading area in Lehigh County, of which those three cities were involved with, declared bankruptcy. And
Oh,
right before Thanksgiving, laid off 25,000 employees. And this
wow.
company was Bethlehem Steel, one of the largest manufacturing companies of steel in the world. And not only did it have an impact with the 25,000 in the trading area, but there were ancillary companies that were supporting Bethlehem Steel. And so there was this big economic tumult. And what I had learned uh, in getting ready to open up the model homes is to get involved in the community.
I
And
love
I went around, and your face will resonate with another smile. I
that.
went to I went to the personnel departments of the largest organizations in the metropolitan area, the largest company. And I got to know the people in the personnel department. And what was so interesting, I had met the personnel director at Bethlehem Steel 4 months before the end of the company. And
Wow.
and he was probably one of the greatest educators. He explained to me about relocation and
Mm.
and getting to all of the personnel directors and the human resource directors in the marketplace and educating them about what we had to offer in real estate. And the world didn't come to an end in Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. But what happened was we learned we were a strict merchant builder, and we only offered a new home with all the features and benefits that we thought were right for the market. And the ownership would never make changes. And one day, I had a customer that I had been working with, and across the street there was an absolutely beautiful custom luxury neighborhood, and we had buyers that had champagne taste and beer pocketbooks and couldn't afford to live across the street in the beautiful neighborhood. And our neighborhood was beautiful. It was a merchant built product, and we had a lot of different homes that we introduced, both multifamily and single family. And this one family kept coming back. And every time I presented the family's interest, the president of the company would say to me, we don't make change orders, we don't do this, we don't do that. And one day I sat down with the family and I said, let's put together a transaction. And I met separately with the project manager, and we put together the prices. And what happened was, with all the changes that they wanted to make in our from our standard two-story into our and this is 50 years ago, and
Wow.
into a, if you will, a semi-customized two-story home. Uh, I I I asked them for a substantial deposit that was 5 times what we normally would ask for. They gave it to me. I took the agreement that I had completed, along with the deposit, Debbie. I walked into the president's office, and he started screaming at me. He saw there were change orders, and there were 3 pages of change orders. And this gentleman, uh, was not only a brilliant executive, he was a phenomenal basketball player, and renowned throughout the United States as a collegiate player, averaging over 25 points a game in the late 40s, early 50s. And I mean, just a phenomenal business person, and was a great mentor. But he would yell at me 5, 7 times a day, and I had gotten used to it. And so I said, look at the bottom line, of the program. And he looked at the bottom line. The cost of the extras were more profitable than the base price of the home. The premiums that we had placed on the change orders were I mean, unbelievable. And he looked and he said, how much profit did we make on this? And I said, do you want percentages or do you want cash? And he said, I want dollars and cents. And when I told him what the number was that exceeded the base price profit, he looked at me, Debbie, and he
Oh.
said, we now do change orders. So,
Ah,
so in essence, that community alone, uh, res- at the end of the day, there were 256 homes, but it was like selling more than 512 homes because of all the changes that we would make. And
wow.
in a really negative, tough, call it rotten market, the first 37 days that we were open, from roughly the day before Thanksgiving to January 1st, I closed 37 agreements.
Wow.
And here the marketplace was crumbling. People were worried about jobs, and I had only had 2 pre-sales in 9 months. And
Wow.
so we had the models open and the pricing and the ability to make change orders. And then we outsold every other builder in the marketplace. And the reason that we did on a yearly basis is because we paid attention to the consumer. We created that special buying experience. We did not have no in our language. We had yes. And as a result, we embraced the marketplace. And this is just one of
Right.
thousands of stories that I can share with you and the listeners. But the key with everything is always pay attention to your buyers. And what I learned from a great California builder years and years ago, if your buyer doesn't like your product, she will let you keep it.
Exactly, exactly. We have to go to commercial break, but in my book and my whole everything about me is no is not an option, and you just keep going. And so it's exactly you're not going to take no for an answer. And I agree with you. And I think people have to really just find a way, and that's what you did. We'll be right back with S. Robert August. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, Belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Success. I'm your host, Debbie DiMaggio. We are here with S. Robert August, and I want to delve into what I call the 5 C's of business, entrepreneurship, or real estate. But before we dive into the 5 C's, I want to hear you. We were talking offline about you were recruited to Denver. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, it's interesting. Uh, there was a company that actually I modeled my companies after in 1983 when we opened our doors in January of '83. But what I'll regress and share with you, I was recruited to come to Colorado in 1978, and frankly, when we came, the market changed. The market was dynamic, and it had grown exponentially. And my wife and I, and our oldest son now, got off the plane, and the market stopped almost simultaneously.
Wow.
And yet here we were, recruited to open up a luxury neighborhood between Denver and Boulder in a blue collar market. Blue collar. The average price in those days, well, I mean, take any market, but if you can imagine, this part of the marketplace was the least expensive to purchase a home. And here we were opening up a wonderful golf course community with amenities intact, and I was recruited to come, and I found out 6 months later, after I was beating the pro forma, the principal owner of the consulting group and real estate company sat me down and along with all the employees, and he said, I just have to take a minute. And he started talking about this person who, and it was a big company, uh, sort of like Cochrane, but for Colorado. And
Hmm.
what he said, he started talking about one of the newer employees who beat the pro forma. And I'm looking around in the room, and all of a sudden he turns to me and he said, "What you've done is above and beyond what we had ever expected." He told the audience we had interviewed 62 people between all of our associates in our company to take this job, and nobody thought that you could sell upscale housing, in a blue collar market. And here you did. And I look at every business opportunity as a way to excel, and if there's a negative, how do you spin the negative into a positive? And
Right.
what I was able to do, Debbie, is embrace, and we'll talk about community. Uh, I started when I was always taught by my father to go to the head of the class. Don't meet middle management. Go meet the president. Go meet the chairman of the board. And I can tell you stories, that blow your mind. But the real key here was embracing the community. We
Mm.
joined every local chamber of commerce in a 10-mile
Wow.
radius. We joined every economic development councils of the municipalities and the counties within a 15-mile radius. We joined the local boards of realtors within the trading area. We joined the Home Builders Association, which was metro-wide. And what I did, I went to the movers and shakers in each organization. I asked them for 15 minutes of their time. I'm a new member. I want to learn who, what, where, why, when, and how. And I did. And
Wow.
then these memberships, they all needed photography. They all needed creative marketing. So I volunteered with my marketing and sales set. I got involved with membership. I started recruiting membership for all these organizations. Meanwhile, all I wanted my sales team to do was sell. I'll generate the leads. You go sell. I'll work with you and structure the transactions. And what happened, we started getting recognition
Wow.
and we received so much people. And what I did that was unique to the real estate business that will titillate the fancy of your mental genius. I did not compete with the local real estate brokers and take buyers off site and sell them something else. What I did at the ranch, the community is called the Ranch Development. And at the ranch, what we did that was different from every other company that I have ever seen in my entire career, and we still do this today, we do not compete with the existing real estate broker market in any market that we have ever been in. And what we do, we cater to the real estate brokers. We pay the going real estate co-op commission to real estate brokers, and we market to them and teach them. We want your business. All we want you to do is bring us a buyer. We'll take care of everything and meet you at the closing table. And as a result, today, all these 48 years later, we have paid tens of millions, well over $100 million in commissions to real estate brokers. And wherever we go, they realize we're not going to steal their customers. We're not going to
Right.
take anything else. And our salespeople get paid the same amount of commission, Debbie, whether
Mm.
there's an outside broker involved or there's not,
That's
which
a
is
good.
another secret sauce. So, in essence, and they can only get paid. This is the third point of the conversation. They can only earn a commission from that community. We'll call it the ranch development.
Okay.
So the salespeople that we had, they could only earn money from that one community. We had many others, but we never did cooperating commissions to our own salespeople in any other neighborhood that we had either, because I found being an on-site salesman, a real estate broker, that as soon as you have a crutch to sell the entire metro area and the entire real estate listing data, you're never going to focus and find the objection and sell. So the same way that your friends would have retail stores, they didn't send people to other department stores per se. They
Right.
tried to analyze what the buyer needed, not what the buyer. And this is another tenet of ours. We do not sell want. We only sell need. And as a result of selling need, we close more real estate sales than our competition. And we only have our salespeople earn what they can sell in that retail store or that community, or
Right.
you can call it. And we build neighborhoods. From a project, we go to a community, we start moving people in, and then we create a neighborhood, which is another tenant of ours. And as a result of doing this, oh, and by the way, if you came out to our community and you did business with us and brought a buyer to us, even a prospect, and you kept coming back, we would, all these customers that would come through the door that didn't have a real estate broker with them, guess who got the leads? Debbie DiMaggio. And why? Because she became a fan of ours and tried and true. And as a result, and the other tenant, we would never take a referral commission from you. We
Oh, wow.
wanted you to earn 100% of that. And we still do that today. And you tell me where in the country people are doing what we did.
You're showing loyalty to agents who are working on your behalf. And how smart is that to embrace the realtor who is working hard, and you're rewarding them for that, and you're not taking chunk out of their commission, a referral fee or what have you. And then what I heard you say on to the representatives, the agents that are representing your community, you are paying them a full commission, not a small percentage. Because a lot of times we bought a house and built a house in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we didn't know anything about new builds because we're from the Bay Area, Piedmont, Oakland, Berkeley. There's not a lot of rarely any new builds. And so we weren't used to that. But those people sitting there on your developments, the ranch or wherever, those agents that are sitting there are only getting a small percentage everywhere else, except for, it sounds like, in your project. So hats off to you. That's incredible. I also have to just point out how incredible that was of you and how smart. Well, I've been in real estate 35 years, and raising a family and working side by side. So that was kind of where my community was. But when my daughter left, she was the first to leave before my son went to college. And I had to reinvent. And, I'm not, once the kids were gone, it's not, I'm not just mom all the time. Now I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm still here, but I'm not surrounded by sports and all the activities and their friends. And I had to reinvent, and you had to find another community and what that is. So now, let's just 2 years ago, I've for the last 10 years figuring it out, and thus Mindset in Motion and many other books later. But one of the things I joined recently, and I feel so behind you right now. I feel like I'm going to be racing to catch up with you. So I joined a BNI, Business Networking International group, and then from them I'm starting to meet other groups. But I just think it's genius what you did. You did this not only in Colorado, you also did this in Pennsylvania, where you started two things. You started joining all of the different groups, not just one group, not just two groups. You named multiple groups that you joined to get your name out there. And you were also giving service. You were also um, joining the boards. You were also giving back. So you were always in service while you were sharing what you did. That was incredible. And then one of them in the book as well. And I want you to tell your story, because I know you said you had lots of stories. One of the things I say is you have to reach out. You never know. No one knows, number one, what you need unless you ask. And some people might not, most of the and people you may want to reach out to, you don't even know them, but you can reach out. And I reached out to Bob Berg using my own wisdom in my own book. Bob Berg is an author and keynote speaker, and we connected on just a quote he said on Twitter. And I reached out one Sunday afternoon and asked him, I sent him an email to his email address and said, would you consider being on my podcast? And he said yes. It was almost instantaneously, and now we've become good friends. And he's referred me many clients to be on the podcast. But let's hear your stories about how you reached out to people and made things happen.
Well, I would share with you and the audience today, Debbie, that everyone has a story, as I shared at the beginning. Everyone has a need, and it's a question of finding out the need. But I mean, I can be in a grocery store and I'll walk up to somebody, who's looking for a specific cereal, and I'll say, gee, how can I help you? A little old lady might not be as tall as I, and she's looking at the top shelf and can't reach it, and it doesn't make a difference. I mean, I've amazed people. I mean, on an airplane, I'll talk to everybody sitting to the left, the right, in front of me, behind me, and I'll introduce myself and hand everybody a business card, and just share with them, whenever you're interested in buying real estate anywhere in the country, we can help you. And and people look at me like, who is this guy? You know, but everybody is game, and everybody has an opportunity to learn from everybody else. But
Mm.
I mean, what I also learned, I mean, and it's a little different now, uh, but when I was in growing up in the real estate industry, people would move every 5 years, and and certainly in California, the rate of momentum and moving is far greater than almost anywhere else in the country because people do very well with purchasing and selling real estate. So I mean, today, the average customer that owns a home is in that home for 12 years for a multitude of reasons.
Right.
Uh, what I learned growing up again in the family business, not to judge a book by its cover, that everybody, I mean, and it was really interesting. I can remember being 7 years old. My grandmother, who worked retail, and we had one retail store where we beta tested all of our products, and it was in Philadelphia. And I was allowed to work with my grandmother because I was really interested in the business, and she would tell me before somebody came in, she would say, "What do you think the person is going to spend? And please don't say anything to the customer." And what was so fascinating is that people would come in, and I would always guess wrong. I would always think that somebody that's as well groomed and lovely as you would come in and want 10 cases of champagne, 10 cases of brandy, and other wines and spirits, and I was wrong every time. And then I can remember at 14, there was a gentleman that came in and he had grease I mean, like the black ink that I've got on my shirt, it was all over. He was wearing one of these coveralls or overalls, and he had black grease from machinery. And when he came in, I said to myself, oh, maybe it's a fifth of Concord grape wine, or maybe it's a fifth of brandy or something. When I finished with helping him, and asking him how I could help him with what his needs were, he had bought literally 10 cases of champagne, 2 cases of brandy, 10 cases of assorted wines. And then I helped him go out to his station wagon, and it was one of these big old station wagons that held all of the, like 25 cases that I shared. I hadn't seen this gentleman again. Uh, Penny and I were getting married, and in the house of worship that we were getting married in the synagogue, where I'm walking down the aisle, and who do I see but this gentleman on Penny's side of the synagogue, on the rows on the right hand side, Debbie,
Uh-huh.
and he was there in a three-piece suit,
Oh,
and he was now the president of one of the companies that my father-in-law had, and I stopped the procession, and
oh,
I went over, and they said, "You and I met 9 years ago," and I
well,
gave him, and he just looked at me, and then he shook his head and said, "I remember." And then I went back into the wedding procession
oh,
and down and married Penny. But the fundamental point is you just never judge a book by its cover,
right,
because from conceivably in those days a $5 sale to a sale that was $500. uh, it was a tremendous learning experience, and it's carried me all the way through my business development experience. Buyers are not liars. Buyers are afraid, and
yeah,
you build that trust and that respect, and you develop an interest in those individuals, they will become your buyers. The
right.
problem that surfaced is, and this is historic, 95% of everyone who goes through a sales presentation is never followed up. So
Mm,
another thing that sets us apart, we follow up with everybody a minimum of 3 times, over the space of a week. And we engage people. We care about what they're doing. And the other thing that I learned, that I'll share with you in real estate, that'll make you smile too. Uh, I found that I stopped qualifying parents when they came in with children. I started qualifying the children. The children
that's
have no bias, they have no prejudice, and they will tell you everything. And one day, months later, when I was doing this, I'll never forget this one family: uh, a husband, wife, a daughter, and a son. And I would always go to the most precocious individual. And this young man, he's 8 years old. And I said, and as soon as they came in, I had developed this wonderful line. I'd smile and reach out, and I would always shake like a male. If it was a male, I'd go to him first, shake his hand, and I would always say, it's. But I didn't do it to the husband, and I didn't do it to the wife or the significant others. I would always go to the children that were the most precocious, whether it was a daughter or a son. So I go to this one son and I say, "Isn't this a great day to buy a home?" And he looked at me and said, "Are you kidding? That's exactly what my mom and dad said when they drove into this community."
Oh my gosh.
The
Exposed.
price, and he started going on. The price, is $20,000 less than our budget. The homes are beautiful. You all put the landscaping in, at the very beginning of the community rather than at the end. And mom and dad are saying all of this, and this sure looks like a great place to live. I had them at hello. So in essence, the son didn't know what he was doing, but he gave me all the ammunition to take care of mom, dad, and his sister as well as him.
Right.
And so you get these learning experiences through life in whatever you may be doing. But when it comes to mastering the art of selling real estate, you keep learning to learn because it changes oftentimes every day.
Right. Absolutely. My gosh, after 35 years, I'm still learning and still it's amazing. You just have to, and things change and stay the same. But that's a great story. I mean, when I get in an Uber or a Lyft, I always ask the driver, so what do you do? I don't assume that this is all they do. I'm always so curious, like, what do you do? And they have amazing stories. So yes, do not judge a book by its cover. I wholeheartedly agree. So we only have one more minute left. I just want more wisdom from you. So I know it goes so fast. Give us some wisdom, some Robert August wisdom. What could someone take away and just go to today and implement?
Great question. I will share this with the audience today. Learn, learn, learn. Never stop reading. The same way that I'm excited about everything that's in mindset in motion, the active purpose, power, and peak performance delivered by Debbie DiMaggio. What I encourage everyone to do is to read and listen and pay attention and try to be considerate of everyone, regardless of race, creed, and religion. Always pay attention to the marketplace. Always pay attention to your buyers. Always give the buyers that you're working with 100% of your attention. Don't become distracted. Pay attention to the people with whom you're working, and you'll grow your business. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts with you today. And it's so exciting to meet you in person, Debbie. And I'm very grateful for our friendship and wish you, your family, your associates the very best in every day with regard to your business development and your social obligations and family needs. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I look forward to continuing the conversation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Success with host Debbie DiMaggio. Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. Real stories, real strategies, real success.